Hello everyone, my name is LaPrecious and welcome to my channel. Let's talk with LaPrecious. So today's video will be titled Being the Initiator. So to anybody who's been watching my channel and watching my videos knows that I'm a Christian and I'm in tune with the Holy Spirit, and I like to share my views about my Christian faith, and I like to share my views about what God has been telling me and how I've been following that in my life. So the thing that I've been struggling with the most as a young adult is dating, finding my way in the workforce, and just really being in a place in my life where I could finally be happy. So, to make a long story short, I've grown up in a place where you're babied and you're babied, controlled, and pretty much told what to do and say, and not really allowed to have much freedom in what to say and what to do. So I've had to struggle with that type of upbringing, fight through with that type of upbringing, and I've had to go through a lot of hell even as a child and a teenager and as an adult still living at home with their parents by just simply being myself and being in my own skin and really loving it. Like I honestly say, finally I'm at a point where I could finally be content within myself and comfortable in my own skin, and I'm able to really do the things that I've always wanted to do and to meet up with people I've always wanted to meet and say what I want to say and feel fine with that and comfortable in that. But the second thing that I've been struggling with is work. I got my first job when I was 17, 18 years old as a translator. This lady walked up to me that was at a church that I attended, and she said, "Are you good in Spanish? And you speak good Spanish?" And I said, "Yes." And so she offered me the job on the spot for her cleaning service to be a translator. I was her translator for about 3 years. Then once she didn't have any more work for me to translate, that's when I started job hunting. And I remember it was so hard for me to find a job. Nobody was calling me back. Nobody was contacting me. I couldn't get hired anywhere. And I remember crying and praying, saying, "God, why won't anybody hire me? Why can't I get a job?" And now it don't take nothing for me to get a job. So God has finally placed favor on me to, get jobs. But I can honestly say I've been struggling lately with jobs because of management and the supervisors that are being placed in these positions of management, because I have the same job as a teacher's assistant that I've been telling you all about. I love it. I'm excited that I'm doing it and whatnot, but I just need more money because at the moment I have my computer, I have my cell phone that I pay for, but I need to purchase a car and I need to pay for, liability insurance amongst other things when it comes to upkeeping a car. And then I really need to move out on my own, because when you live with the type of family that I live with, you have to really branch out on your own, because I deal with a lot of, why do you get to do this and I'm doing this, why do you get to have that, but I don't have it. So I deal with a lot of that while I'm here. So I know now is the time for me to really get myself together and move myself up that ladder of success, not only for me, but so that I can finally be comfortable and be able to live the life that I want to live without anybody having anything to say, anybody feeling some type of way, or, trying to make me feel bad for having more or for doing what I'm supposed to do as an adult. So I've pretty much been struggling with the management and really with the pay in a lot of these jobs, because this past week I quit my job at a fast food restaurant that I was working at. I loved working there. I liked the work, but the manager just had it out for me. For whatever reason, they're hiring a lot of white, and I'm going to have to be racial because this is something I'm noticing. They are hiring a lot of white, mean spirited managers at a lot of these different places of business. And some of them, they're not as hard on people of color when they manage them, and they're not as harsh, but some of them can have some really bad and mean spirits. And you have those people of color that can deal with it, they can work under it, and I can work under it too, but it gets to a point where I can't take somebody bullying me every time I come to work. You nitpicking stuff at me, you always got something to say about what I'm doing or who I'm with or what I'm about. And you're making me feel bad for being honest and being myself. and still being a good person on top of that. And I've just come to a point where I'm tired of dealing with that. I've noticed that in a lot of fast food environments, or really small environments that serve food or cater food, the people in management or the people in the kitchen tend to have really bad attitudes where they're salty about how their lives turned out. They want to be mean and bossy and rude and disrespectful because they want to impress the managers so that they could become a manager or they could become a shift leader or so they can fit in with the in crowd. And I mean, I'm sick of it. I've been to jobs where I've been talked about right in front of my face with the managers and with other people. Done had my earpiece in to listen to other people's orders, and I've had the manager and coworkers subliminally talking about me through the speakers of the headsets. Like, in what world, is that professional? Is that correct? Or if that's even, the right thing for a manager to do? And I can honestly say that I'm just really tired of putting up with that type of disrespect from management, because whenever I've been in predicaments like that, I've taught myself to pray, to smile through it all, to push through, and to still be a good person, and to not let people from environments like that turn me into them. Because it's really easy to become a kitchen grandma or a kitchen mama or a kitchen auntie, and y'all know what I mean. Some of them people that just lose hope and lose sight for themselves and their lives, and they stay in these kitchens and in these restaurants and in these small places 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and that's all they know. And they give everybody advice and insight on life, and they come in and come out of there, but they still stuck and staying there. And I just knew I didn't want that to be me. Any fast food place I've ever worked at, I always had a goal to get out. I'm going to work here 3 months. I'm going to work here 6 months or work here a year until I use every penny that I earn to feed myself, pay for my phone bill, put towards school, or put towards my car. And as long as I'm acing these classes and acing this goal and passing that goal, that's all that matters. And once I have everything aced, I'm done. But I've never been able to surpass that 2 week mark or a month mark or anything, because whenever I'm in these restaurants, there's always something that happens where I have no choice but to leave. Now, I'm not a coward, I'm not scared, and I'm not frustrated, about anything that I'm going through in these places, but I just refuse to put up with the disrespect and to have a manager trying to turn me into somebody that I'm not. And the reason why I say is because at the past place that I worked at, I'm not going to say the name because I don't want anybody coming at me for slander or trying to, damage the company's name. So I keep that under wraps. But I had a manager falsely accuse me of being rude to a customer, and that was not the case. The thing that I don't like about a lot of these restaurants nowadays is that you have customers that want to be buttholes on purpose. You're not doing anything to them. You're being nice. You're being pleasant. You're giving them their food, taking their money, giving them their change. And whenever you make a mistake, you apologize and correct it and make small talk. But for whatever reason, you just have these mean-spirited customers that just want to make examples out of you. And then you have mean-spirited managers that like to side with people that are falsely accusing you or falsely coming against you and making it even harder for you than what it has to be. And I recently had that happen to me, and my heart was just so broken I had to quit. This past week has been very hard for me because my heart has been broken by a lot of people in my life, and I'm not going to go into too much detail on that in this video, but I've just had life really throw some daggers and knives and pitchforks at me. And I know that this is a test from God for me to keep pressing forward and to keep going through. But sometimes it just gets really hard. People do not understand what it's like to be a good person and to be nice and caring and kind, and you always have people that have something against you. They want to take you down. They want to cut you off. They want to make you into a mean, naggy, or horrible person, or they want to make life bad for you because even though you're a good person and do everything you're supposed to do, they feel like you're making them look bad because they're not at the same level of kindness and hospitality and good customer service experience the way that you are. So they feel like they got to cut you down, dog you out, and just bash you to make an example out of you to make themselves look good. And I can honestly say I'm tired of dealing with that. I deserve better. I deserve more, and I'm going to have more, and I'm going to have better. I've been talking about this with my family, and God has just been listening to me, and He's really been confirming everything that I've been saying and thinking through the radio, through outside people, and through the sermons that I listen to on TV, mainly from Bishop T.D. Jakes and from Bishop Bronner. And I see that as a sign from God that everything that I've been thinking and saying is correct. And so, what God has really been telling me right now is that I just need to take that first step of initiation. That if I want a better paying job, I need to apply for it. If I want to be treated better, I need to demand it. If I want to work in a different environment, I need to seek out places that have better environments where you can wear your hair in a different way, makeup, nails done, look like a lady, or look like someone who's approachable, well put together, and stylish, and not be bashed for that. I told to take your nails off because that's against food code. Can't wear colored hair, can't wear earrings, dark makeup, or have a beat face and whatever. And I'm just so tired of being controlled by people and places that aren't even worth the demands they're putting upon me, and really don't even pay me enough to even go through that much stuff. Because I'm sure some of y'all have worked really, really hard at a lot of these places. And when you look at your paycheck, it hurts your feelings because you know that you put in a whole lot of work worth more than what's slated on your paycheck. And I had that experience this past week. And I told myself, I said, I'm worth so much more than this little bit I see on this check. And so when I went through what I went through this past week, I had to think to myself, I'm like, is this a sign from God that I need to continue on? Or is this a sign from God that I need to just quit and just let it go and leave it alone? And I'm going to honestly say that now I'm going to take God up on what He's been telling me. Because out of all the fast food places I worked at in the past, I've kept coming up to the same thing. And instead of me trying to push through that and hold on to that and to carry on with that, God is pretty much telling me, and God has spoken to me through pastors, spoken to me through church leaders, spoken to me through strangers and counselors I've spoken to throughout my life. They keep telling me you're worth so much more than fixing food in somebody's kitchen, serving donuts, or serving cake, or serving fruit pops. You're worth so much more than that. You need to be out on the forefront, out in the open, out in front of people. And, I've heard this continuously for the past 2 years. And so I'm going to say, okay, God, I need to take you up on what you're saying, because if I don't, I'm going to keep experiencing the same thing, keep experiencing the same people, the same types of bosses, and the same types of managers, and I'm not going to get anywhere. But, staying at the bottom, staying with bottom of the barrel type of people and bottom of the barrel type of situations, and not really go any further or go any higher, and just not be worth what I know that I'm worth. So I felt like me leaving this job was the best thing for me to do. But one thing I will say is that I'm officially done working for fast food places. It's not worth it. I don't deserve it, and I'm worth so much more than that. And this is no offense to anybody who works in the fast food market, because I understand people have certain obligations where that's all they have, where they have to work in those scenarios or situations. But I know I'm not worth that. And I don't need to be there, and I don't need to be in it. I may have been in it for a little while, and I may have been in it for some time, and I may know the ins and outs of how a lot of these different restaurants work, but that's not my calling. That's not what I've been called to do. That's not where I've been called to stand. And one thing I want to say is, when it comes to dating, I've been very adamant about being in a relationship with a man that wants to marry me and wants to have kids, because I'm going to be honest in this video. I was in a relationship, for about 4.5 years with the man who was the best man, I could have ever been with. But it took him forever and a day to figure out what he wanted. And I knew I didn't want to stay with somebody another 4.5 years or even 10 years. And they're still like, well, I don't know. I don't know if I want to get married or whatnot, because that's going to waste my time. And that's going to, deter me from where I need to go. And it's going to hinder me from having a life, because when you're a lot of women, for whatever reason, don't want to be honest with themselves, but you cannot stay with a man for years and years on end, hoping and praying that he's going to change. And every time you talk to him about getting married and having kids, it's the same thing. I don't know. Don't push me. I'm not ready, because what you're going to do is you're going to lose your life and a lot of your time and a lot of opportunities where you could have been married and had children if you wouldn't have stayed with this person that just wanted to waste your time. I've been broken up with this person now for a year. We're still good friends. We still talk and we have a great, relationship. But I had to step away from that because I know I wanted more. After I ended that relationship, I decided, to have fun and whatnot. So I did, explore this and explore that. But after a while, I just didn't enjoy it anymore, because American culture is very deceptive. And I'm going to be transparent about this so for you all to get the full picture. But our culture loves to teach sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That lifestyle, it seems fun, it seems interesting, but at the end of the day, when you've been through your sexual bouts and alcohol bouts and your rock and roll bouts, it leaves you tired, depleted, sad, depressed, and you're always at a thirst for more, because due to you being depleted and sad, depressed, you want to fill yourself back up with that stuff again in order for you to be happy. And that's what I went through when I started drinking. I was never drunk, never bent over or hungover, but I did have a couple of tastes of alcohol, and based on how it made me feel and the way it tasted and the way it made my body feel, I just had to say no to that. So ever since then, I just stopped drinking. I haven't drunk anything now for about a year, and I'm happy about that, and I plan on keeping it that way. When it comes to partying and whatnot, I do go to concerts. I do like to go dancing because, I just like to have fun and whatnot. But when I say having fun, I like to dance and mingle and talk and socialize. And when it comes to sex, having sex can be a fun experience. It can be interesting, it can be hot, it can be sensual, and it can really make you feel good about yourself. But when you start having feelings for the person that you're sleeping with and they don't reciprocate that, it can be very painful, because I went through that a couple of times in my heydays of having sex, and it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good giving your body up to somebody and they receive your body and they make you feel, like you're loved and wanted and really, onto something. And every time you call them, your calls are going straight to voicemail. Or you're finding out you got blocked and you're texting and not receiving anything back. And it just very hurtful. And then all of a sudden, you hear from them 2 weeks or a month or a couple of months down the road, and they act as if they never did stop talking to you, and you give your body up again, and they have you on this bout of, oh, he must love me, must not like me, and whatnot, up until you come to the realization that this person is only using you as a punching bag or as a pretty much as a sexual counselor to get all their frustrations and feelings out so that they can go back to whatever life they have outside of you and continue to live it. And so that's what I have been experiencing, and I just decided to just stop doing that, because I know that I deserve to have a man that's going to value my body, but not just my body, but my heart and my mind, and the way that I perceive things, and the way that I care for people, and the way that I love people, and just my spirit and my aura that I give off to people. And not only that, but I've always said I've never wanted to have kids out of wedlock. I know what it's like to grow up in a single parent home, because I've been in one my whole life. And it's not glamorous. It's not glamorous to have child support payments coming in. It's not glamorous to have visitation rights with one parent and then coming back home to the other parent. It's not glamorous to grow up as a teenage girl and you are dating and you're trying to figure out why boys keep treating you the way that they do, and then you're trying to understand love and whatnot, and you don't have a man at the house teaching you that, and then your mom, is not teaching you either, so you have to grow up really fast and not grow up with much. And I've just never wanted that for my kids. But on the flip side, sex can be very dangerous. And the reason why I say it's very dangerous is because AIDS still exists. They may not talk about it on TV as much as they did in the 80s and 90s or early 2000s, but HIV and AIDS are still very real diseases. People still contract those diseases and people still die from those diseases. And not only HIV and AIDS, but gonorrhea and syphilis and crabs and genital herpes. And I mean, there are so many different STDs and STIs out there that can hinder your chances of having kids, that can make it harder for you to carry babies to full term. There are diseases out there that can make you blind, that can ravage your skin, make your skin peel off, make it hard for you to urinate and defecate. You can contract diseases that can cause organ failure down the line. And I mean, it's just really bad. And what really stopped me from being promiscuous was a STD scare that I had earlier this year. I was with somebody, and not too long after that, I started experiencing symptoms of genital herpes. When you have genital herpes, you itch like crazy. You itch as if over 1,000 ants have bitten you, and that's what I experienced. And when I went to the clinic, I remember I had to get a shot in my leg, and they had to put me on some meds because at the time they said that I had to do a urine test, and they said they saw an infection, but they didn't know what it was. So the doctor gave me an option of taking something or not taking something. I chose to take something because I said it's smarter to take something and to kill whatever's going on, or at least to kill or bump out some of those symptoms so the infection or disease wouldn't get worse or wouldn't be as bad. And so I went ahead and did that. And the meds they gave me, it thinned out my eyebrows. You had to take it on food. If not, it would make you really, really sick. I remember my stomach was just roaring and the diarrhea was bad. And then when the symptoms they did die down, then when they came back, I went to the doctor and got tested. I got tested for everything. They had to. I'm making a video, and I had to get blood tests taken for HIV tests and everything. I had to get a vaginal examination, where they scrape you. And, I just had to get everything tested on me, and gladly, thanks to God, I came back negative. And so, to many of you that are having sex, and to many of you that are thinking about having sex, please use caution. I know that it's your body and it's your life, but you really have to think about STDs and STIs, because if not, you could be out there saying, yeah, I'm having fun, and yeah, I'm riding him, and he got the D and all of that stuff. And then you're crying to the clinic because your stomach is hurting, you're itching, you got rashes, and things aren't looking right, feeling right. And you find out you got HIV or full blown AIDS and only have a few months to live, or you have gonorrhea or syphilis. Because a lot of people, we live life and say, oh, that can never happen to me, this that can never be me and whatnot. But it can, because I'm sure a lot of people that have died from diseases like syphilis and HIV and AIDS, amongst other things, they probably thought the same thing too. Or that'll never happen to me, I'm not black, or I'm not white, or I'm not gay, or I'm not transsexual and whatnot. A lot of us like to think that the stereotypical people, which are gay white people or gay black or gay Hispanic, men or men and women or transvestites or transsexuals that, we assume are more sexual than everybody in the world, will just get those diseases, and not so-called good people or goody two-shoes people. But disease and death shows no favoritism. Anybody can get AIDS, anybody can get gonorrhea, anybody can get pregnant without them wanting that. And I just feel like you can't play with God's plan for our lives, because God wants us to save ourselves from marriage and save ourselves from the right one, because he knows about these diseases and these risks. That's why God wants us to either remain virgins or to get married and give our bodies away, because he knows that when you open up Pandora's box, like they like to call it, you're susceptible to diseases and unwanted pregnancies, but you're also susceptible to those yearnings where you're with somebody and they D you down, or they give you, the good box, and a couple days later you're yearning for them, and then you can't get to them, you can't connect to them, or they don't want you, or they say, it was just one time, or it was just one thing, or it was just urge or whatever I had, and you're left hurt and abused, and you just don't know how to deal with stuff, and then you become promiscuous because you're just trying to get those feelings out. And one thing I have learned, because this happened to me, because my first sexual experience was not that good. And for whatever reason, when people have a really bad sexual experience or not one of the best, it leaves you feeling disorganized and confused about sex, and then you kind of feel guilty, and then you kind of feel like, well, why did this have to happen to me? What did I do? What's so bad about me? And then you find yourself trying to get back at the person that hurt you or abused you or just didn't treat you right, and you really try to screw it out of you. And then it gets to a point where you're trying to get back at them every time you screw somebody, and then you start being fast and promiscuous. Then before you know it, you turn into them. So sex is a really powerful thing that God has given us to use and to do and have, but it can cause a lot of havoc, if it's not done properly. So to close out this video, since I said that the title of this video is called Being the Initiator, I'm going to initiate more positive relationships, more positive experiences, and more positive plans in my life, because I'm not afraid to tell you guys what my plan for my life is. So I do plan on, I bought a new cell phone, which was one of my plans because I really needed it. And I'm going to do a video about how to buy how to buy good iPhones on an iPhone that you want at a cheap price with a cheap plan. And because that's what I was able to do. And I'm happy that I got a new phone, and a phone I've always wanted, at a cheaper price than I probably would have bought if I would have bought it from another carrier. And it's an accomplished goal of mine. And I know that the next goal I need to reach is getting my driver's permit and then my license and then my car. And then after that, I do plan on moving, but I know that I really want to move back to North Las Vegas, because things were really looking up for me and things were really going well for me. But there were just some things, and I'll talk about that in a later video, that just were fighting against me, that made me have no other choice but to move back to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, because North Las Vegas had everything in store for me. I had the education, I had the atmosphere, the people, the food. I mean, it was just beautiful out there, and it was just really my true home. But unfortunately, I had to leave from uncontrollable circumstances, but I do want to move back there and make that my official home and my permanent home. Um, Another thing that I plan on doing is getting my bachelor's in international business, because I want to become an international marketing manager, because I really like to set the tone for the fast food market, so that management can be carried out well, better managers can be picked, and so that these fast food places can really run sufficiently and efficiently and not have such a high turnover rate. And I really want to be a wife and a mother, and I want to be a medical interpreter in Spanish, amongst other languages, and really be able to use those international concepts that I have, those foreign language skills, those relationship skills, and those potential bonds that I have in the future. Because for me, the sky's the limit. People have told me, that we don't get everything that we want in life, and life's not fair, blah, 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 blah. I believe the reason why we don't get what we want in life is because we don't go out and get it. And number two, unfortunately, sometimes we come against people, have encounters with people that really don't want stuff for us, because just because somebody's your mama, grandma, aunt, brother, sister, friend, or whatever, sometimes they just don't want stuff for you. Sometimes they may have a hidden reason why they don't want it for you. Sometimes it's jealousy, but sometimes people just don't see good things happening for you or good things being in your possession. And when you can't get stuff from people, you know you can get it from God another way. Or sometimes instead of you getting it from God or getting it from people, you just have to go out and get it for yourself. And when it comes to life not being fair, and I've dealt with this in my life, and I'm sure many of you have dealt with this too, but life is not fair because people simply make it not fair. You know, in my last video, I talked about how favor ain't fair is such a crappy way of thinking about God because God does not show favoritism. You know, he doesn't treat one person better than the other. What God does is that he rewards obedience. And sometimes, you know, he shows mercy and grace on people, and there's blessings that come with that. But see, he knows why that person needs what they need. And a lot of times it's none of our business because a lot of us spend so much time looking at what other people have and what they possess and the people they're around, and we just simply don't know that whether that's God or the devil sending people that stuff. So, you know, I've just learned that the reason why life isn't fair is because people make it unfair. You know, people choose to be mean, people choose to be vindictive, people choose to be, you know, shysty and racist and colorist, and just people just really choose to not just really care for folks. And a lot of times it's just out of our control and there's nothing that we can do about it. But I've decided to be the initiator since I want my life to be better. I'm going to make it better. So I hope you all like this video. Don't forget to like and leave a comment in the comment section. Also, don't forget to subscribe and share my videos. Have a good day.